Hello, Tiger fans, and welcome to this week's edition of the Tiger Basketball Report. My name is Ben Rosenbaum, and as always, joined by the head coach of the Tigers, Laura Harper. Coach, good to be back in person. A little break from the Zoom situation.
Of course. Thank you for having me.
Of course, thanks for being here. So let's jump right into it. Last time out, coming off a loss against a really talented Princeton team, 71-54. And I was thinking yesterday, the score doesn't really reflect how close that game was at times. You were in it. It's just another really tough shooting night. And how much of it at this point, the shooting woes, is it a mental thing, or is it just they got to get in the gym and get more shots up? How do you determine when it's which?
You know, it's interesting because I always say anything you practice, you improve on. So we practice our free throws and to a lot, and we improved on that. So, honestly, we will be definitely shooting considerable amounts more, and hopefully we'll reap the benefits of just the repetition.
From a confidence standpoint, how do you get someone, or any player, I'm not going to name anybody, but who has been struggling from the floor, and try to get them it's okay, you got to keep shooting. You're not going to get out of it if you don't shoot.
I think I'm one of those coaches that says you're never going to be sub for missing shots. The other things, like I said, your effort, your attitude, your energy, all of those things are what I prefer not to coach, rebounding, et cetera. So I try to just take the pressure off. And I just remind them, in my personal experience, if you practice, the shots will go in. So just continuing to set them up for success there.
And you mentioned the foul shooting. I want to make sure we say that stat, 22 of 26 from the foul line. And I think you didn't miss your second foul shot until in the third quarter at one point. And at that point, it made it, I think, 18 of 20, which was, again, a ridiculous stat line. I can't remember in the last however many years I've been doing this, a Towson team shooting that well from the foul line in a single game at that volume. Let's talk about Kylie. She was a bright spot, 20 points, does it on both ends. Your thoughts on her, and then I'll get into my part two of that question in a moment.
Of course. I think we all know, again, I feel as though it's a similar song that I sing of her praises. And I don't think anyone goes as hard as her consistently from an exertion and an effort standpoint. And, I always say the work wins. And I think that she's definitely the engine that makes us go here. And we follow a lot with her. And she has to score for us to be successful. She knows that. So with that big assignment, sometimes there's some mistakes that come with it, but we trust her. We really do.
And then now the second part of that is, if people didn't know after last year, they certainly know this year that Kylie Cornegay-Lucas cannot be toyed with, and they have to take her seriously. So how do you adjust from that standpoint where she's probably going to get some extra attention?
Even now, it's okay, everyone in America knows that she likes to drive left. So as far as just working on her non-dominant hand, working on her three-point shooting ability, working on the things that people are going to give up, because now it's scouting. And people are going to know our plays and try to sit on her left hand and do things that just make things hard for her. So really just empower her to kind of tap into her bag of other tricks as well.
And I'm sure at the same time, you've got to kind of turn the heat up a little bit on some of the other scoring members of your team, because eventually Kylie's going to get doubled. She might get tripled. Someone else is going to have to find the basket at one point.
Absolutely. And they will. I'm actually more concerned about our defense right now because I do think we have pieces that can score. Obviously it's only been Pat's second game, and she's proven that she is an engine as well for us. So we're going to figure the shooting and the scoring thing out.
And you beat me to it. Pat Anumba has been great in the two games that we've seen her. She's clearly a spark, does a lot of things well, tough drives. Tell us a little bit about her and what she brings to the table.
Pat has an interesting story. She started at UMBC, actually played with Lex for a year there. A lot of people don't know that. And then she took a year on her own to step away and go to JUCO, just her choice to improve, to work on different things. And, for her to be JUCO Player of the Year, everything that she did at CCBC, I was able to watch her flourish. And, having 3 years with her this year plus 2 more, we expect nothing but really great things.
And last note from the Princeton game, out-rebounded again. Better margin than it was against Morgan.
Yeah.
Where are you with the rebounding? You did say 23 won't happen again. They got up to 30 and you were within, I think, 10 of them. So your thoughts on the rebounding effort?
For me, it's probably the most challenging statistic that I coach, just because it's something I pride myself on so much personally. It's an effort-based statistic, and it's hard because we're at this point in the season where you can't really bang them up that much in practice. But I think it's just a continual repetition. We have to do it. We practice it every single day, and hopefully, we'll come out a little bit more aggressive and physical versus Howard.
All right, and speaking of the Howard Bison, heading there on Saturday at 2 o'clock. 3-5, coming off a win over CAA opponent Elon. Your thoughts on Howard and their style of basketball?
So I'm very familiar with Howard. I have never beaten Howard at Howard since, I was in the MEAC 2 years. So it's an exciting challenge for me personally. And just for this team, they are going to play fast. They're led by Destiny Howe. She is a bucket, as well as their point guard, Ayana Warren. She's tremendous as well, but they're going to play a lot of junk zones. They're going to force us to make shots. And I think, you come from a Princeton game where it's so methodical and so set driven and how we're guarding what they're doing. And then we head into Howard. It's going to be a totally different game. It's going to be an ugly game. Can we make shots? Can we match their intensity? So just turning the page of Princeton and figuring out how we can outmatch Howard. And
you mentioned the intensity, and we've talked a lot about mentality already on this show. How much of that is like you have to be willing to commit to playing that way? You can't let them out effort you. You can't let them out hustle you. You have to outgrind them, basically.
Yeah, that is just the name of the game. Specifically at this point in the season, everyone is tired. Everyone is waiting for finals for Christmas break. It's not just us, it's everyone in the country. So, the excuses are just null and void in my opinion. And we just have to play harder than them. The 50-50 balls, we have to want them more than they do. And hopefully this little time, this break will help us.
So 2 team stats from Howard is when we're talking about rebounding, they are getting out-rebounded. They have a -9 rebound margin so far this season through all their games. So an opportunity for your team to maybe get some confidence on the glass.
I don't even know if I'm going to tell them that, but...
Then don't watch. If you're watching, shut the laptop.
Just kidding. I think the focus stays on us, and I think that our goal is to out-rebound them. Hopefully we can get some confidence there, because I do think we have players that have the ability to rebound in Quinn, in Pina, in Kylie, in Taye, in Gabby even, in Ryan. So hopefully we can figure out a way to, I say all the time, grab the ball with 2 hands and secure the boards.
30 points off of turnovers for Howard. You've done a pretty good job. We've talked that you're around that, in terms of turnovers you want to give up, around that 13, 14 mark, and you've done a good job sticking around that. But the points off turnovers, Howard can be very dangerous. That's about transition. Do you do any extra running to get ready for that, or any transition practice to guard against that kind of thing?
Well, I think it's more press offense for us, because a lot of it's going to be full court pressure, a lot of traps, and just managing that frenetic pace and staying calm and poised throughout. I think I pride myself in being pretty steady throughout the game and just assuring our team that it's okay. We can't play their pace and expect it to be successful. So just really picking apart what they do and staying confident.
All right, the Tigers take on Howard on Saturday at 2 o'clock. I'll have the call starting at 1:45 on TowsonTigers.com. For the head coach of the Tigers, Laura Harper, I'm Ben Rosenbaum. Thanks for joining us, and as always, go Tigers.